It's my pleasure to introduce to you two out of the three Stephens that are speaking at this conference. You may recognize them from yesterday. Stephen Coates from Aura Information Security. Today he is speaking about using an agreed scale of business harm to end security arguments. Please join me in welcoming Stephen.
Morning, everyone. Yeah. So this is a follow-on, I guess, accidentally segue from Petra's talk, Always Be Catastrophizing. No, we hadn't talked about it, but if you're one of those people who enjoys catastrophizing, then being faced with people who don't can be a challenge. They look at you and think you're weird, that you're thinking one end of the scale, oh my goodness, all these things will go wrong, and they're thinking, no, IT have that, it will all be fine, don't worry. Thanks to our sponsors, thanks to our generous hosts, thanks to all the volunteers. Great to see everybody Saturday morning. In the blurb, you'll tell me that you have a risk management program for your organization. You'll tell me that it's a very late draft. Someone's been working on it for 2 or 3 years now, and one day it will see the light of day. You'll tell me that, don't worry, because we've got a risk register, and there's 10 things on it, and we look at it once a year, and cloud and cyber are probably near the top, and we're using 3-point scales, low, medium, high. And that's low, medium, high for impact, low, medium, high for likelihood, and low, medium, high for risk level, which means all your risks come out as mediums and lows. Cyber, low. Cloud, medium. COVID, very low. Come on. So wouldn't it be great if, as a catastrophizer, you could turn up and say, here, this is the scale we've all agreed. And so by the end of my short talk, you'll be nodding in agreement. Because I'm very old, because I really like this definition from 2002 of risk, because I can remember it. It's imprinted from a Fundamentals of Risk Management course I did in Reading years ago. And some function, yeah, okay, low, medium, high. Probability of the occurrence of an event, okay, that's my catastrophe. And its consequences. Oh, low, medium, high, what's your problem? Well, there's more consequences than that, I expect. What could these consequences be? What are these consequences of which you speak? Well, you didn't want them to happen, so this is all downside consequences, and it's harm, same as health and safety. Blood on the carpet, dead people in the streets, and it's to do with losses. So there's no great upside to these consequences, not in my world. Okay. And here we are with our simple 3-point scale, which someone has redefined recently on LinkedIn to give it some more meaning. Did you want to be mildly embarrassed? Did you want to be unemployed? Or did you want to wear an orange jumpsuit for a period of years? That kind of brings it home a bit more. You've got some skin in the game, but come on, New Zealand, this isn't going to happen. Personal grievance and no orange jumpsuit. If you think about the sort of consequences that light up, I've got a list of about a dozen. Well, it's going to be money. Somehow, some money is going to flee the organization. How much money? Don't know, but something. And you can't just say, oh, that overtime on Saturday, that counts as money. No, that's still money in the organization. That's like just hours. Fall in shareholder value. Well, if you're privately owned and it's all a bit of a mystery who owns what, or if you're a charity, that shareholder value, not really. Wasted staff hours. Okay, people doing stuff where they could have been more productive building your application rather than, okay, maybe some hours, maybe, but how many hours? Whose hours? Is it the call center? Is it developers? And is it really wasted, or are they just having a longer tea break or some more training, or are they playing backdoors and breaches? I don't know. What about outages and missed targets? The machine stops and we don't manage to ship the widgets. Yeah, maybe. But will the widgets never be shipped? Brand and reputation. I think risk management plans are fueled by public outrage. If you could bottle it, you'd be a millionaire. Brand and reputation. How do you measure that? Our brand is 3% worse than it was yesterday. Our reputation is 5% tarnished. Everybody bounces back. Look at TJ Maxx. Sales drop? Yeah, but are they going to go to a competitor or just not buy the product? Or do they come back next month? I don't know. Those consequences, Steve, they're a bit weak. Can you do better? Well, we cancel a strategic initiative. Okay, yeah. We delay a project, we go to court, we write some letters, maybe there's some personal grievances, some Privacy Act stuff, maybe not. Maybe the union give us a hard time and there's people with placards outside and honking horns. Yeah, staff morale goes through the floor. Some organisations, that's the norm, I've heard. Perhaps that's related to the unanticipated patient deaths. And the actions in the House of Representatives, what is that? Every time you look at a government scale, they're on about questions are asked, minister resigns, Queen abdicates. Come on. Those aren't real consequences. Oh, unless you're a civil servant. Okay. So people do have scales of harm. The catastrophisers have their catastrophes. Okay. So if you look up business impact levels, BIL for New Zealand has 6 levels from yeah to catastrophe. If you look up scale of business harm, everybody's got one. And some of the ones that I quite like are from Citicus One, some software I started using years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and used for about 10 years across multiple different customers, employers, where you can build your own harm reference table. You can juggle all the columns and rows round, make it as big or as small as you like, and then you could apply it to any work you do after that. So it's like a dynamic make your own adventure harm reference table, write your own catastrophes. But what does it look like? If you're in information security, you'll be saying, well, this is really terrible. We're going to damage brand and reputation. We're going to damage sales. This is going to go wrong. Yeah, but you're speaking on behalf of the grown-ups, the execs or the board. Who are the owners of the consequences? Do they even know they're the owners? Oh, yes, brand and reputation down 10%. What, you're the head of marketing now? Nice. And if people knew what words you're putting in their mouths, how content would they be? They'd never be happy. They might be content. What about if we listed the owners of the consequences as the rows in our harm reference table? But there could be lots of them. There could be 5, 10, okay. We'll work on that. But at least we've got owners. At least you know the CFO, the CIO, the CRO, their health and safety. You know, they've got a voice. They've already spoken. It's pre-planned, pre-agreed. And what about these harms, these catastrophes, the actual things? Well, let's say that your total business harm is a combination of stuff. Your primary impacts. The stuff you can probably quantify. We'll buy a new laptop. The Amazon bill was a bit high this month, but we'll try and do better. Slips, trips and falls, time off work. So the primary stuff's identifiable. The secondary stuff's a bit more finger in the air, a bit more, well, you know, it could be 5%, it could be, maybe we won't meet this quarter's targets, or I don't know. It's a bit more pensive, it's a bit more abstract. Add them together, well, if we made it a 5-point scale, these could be the columns. we're starting to build a table here. This is looking good. Now, someone like Lek might say, no, Steve, this is all nonsense. There's 6 clearly defined losses using a quantitative methodology like open fair. And here you can come up with dollar values for these 6 things, both primary impact and secondary impact. And it's all part of a wider scheme you wouldn't understand, Steve. But, you know, productivity, incident response, buying a new laptop, secret source escapes, go to court, reputation tarnished forever. It's all there, but I'm an apples and oranges person. I cheat. I use semi-quantitative. And I say, well, what's the worst that could happen? What is going nuclear for you? What would kill the business? What would kill people? What is your absolute, never going to happen, but what is it, worst case? Okay. Well, let's think about stepping down from that. You know, the drop in sales, the reputation. Okay, let's have some B's and C's. Let's have some, it's pretty serious, but it's not going to kill us. And then down the bottom end, well, let's have some columns that talk about D's and E's. D's and E's is my space blankets, taxis, locksmiths and Ubers. After you've had your fire practice and everyone's got wet and the car park's locked and it's dark. And you can put a figure on it, it's pretty predictable. How do you build this mythical table? Well, you have some meetings. Everyone who's got a row gets a meeting, and you look them in the eye and you say, you know, I know we work for information security and, you know, stuff happens. Don't talk about things actually happening and your backups and your response plan. Just tell us what is the worst thing that could happen. And if you're the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, then let's start with 10% of annual turnover. Why don't you do that? Or how big is your insurance cap? Okay. And then from that you can step down and you can say, well, what would it look like if we went down from there? And if you're CFO, orders of magnitude until you hit the delegation of financial authority of the CIO. Oh, it's a couple of grand. Okay, so at one end we've got a few million, the other end we've got a few thousand. Excellent. That's my 5-point scale, agreed by the CFO and agreed with all the other grown-ups. Oh. And there you are trying to fill in your scale. That's you after the meeting with the CFO. 10 million or more, 1 to 10, all the way down to 0 to thousands. That's the very top line of our trophy. Okay, you've got around, you've talked to all the grown-ups, you've now got your workshop, you've got to line up all the columns. They're not going to fit. Your priorities are finance because they're your friends, and they've come up with a concrete scale, and you're kind of cheating with your semi-quantitative scale. Great. And during the workshop, you'll need to invent some extra columns. You'll have an F, and you'll have an A+, and an A++, and it'll all shrink down eventually. And you've got to rework your examples to fit, because marketing suddenly realised that their examples are a bit weak. Or health and safety opt out because you're not taking long-term injury seriously. It's fine. But at the end of the workshop, you will have got a signed-off table. Step 3, yeah, you claim all the credit, you publish it. Marketing will do the colouring in for you and apply the latest corporate logo. Great. The biggest choice you've got, it's all out of your hands now, is size and shape. Is it a laminated A5 in your back pocket? Is it an A4 sheet? Or is it a schoolboy's map that folds up into an aeroplane? I don't know. Obviously, you've got to label it. It's in confidence. Why can't you show us any of these, Steve? Because they're all in confidence. Each customer, each victim organisation has declared how bad it would be. Oh, yeah, good point. Version 1, 2021, job done. And this is, once you've got this, this is your pull item, your gateway drug to finally opening up the bottom drawer and releasing your risk management program. So what does it look like in practice and how do you use it to end those arguments? You did say you'd end some arguments, Steve. So far you've just built the artifact. Okay, let's say then that you've got to the end of your project to build a super new website and you've not budgeted for pen testing it. And the bill is maybe 25 grand and a week to do the work, a week for the report and 2 weeks to do the remediation. Well, that's obviously impossible because what we need to do is we need to go live this weekend. It's Friday, no, it's Saturday. We'll go live and we'll ignore the potential security privacy issues because I'm saying we'll ignore it and I'm marketing and I'm really important. And never mind what's going to happen on Monday. Well, you quickly go to your back pocket and you whip out your table and it looks like this. As the information security guy, you're trying to get over to the hard left with their problems and over to the right with your solutions. And you've got the CFO's voice, you've got operational impact, great, and you've got brand and reputation. Each of those rows is signed off and approved. You've got exec commitment, and you're saying, well, look, do you really want to be on fair go? Do you really want to be facing up to the Privacy Commissioner and having an office for their investigative team? What do you reckon? I'm thinking A's and B's. If you go live with this, Monday morning we will be toast. What's your schedule like for interviews for national TV? On the other hand, I can do your deal. I can go to anyone and get you a sensible pen test arranged, and it's down in the D's. Yes, the project will be a bit late, and yes, we'll have used up some more hours that your project plan hadn't budgeted for, but look at the difference. Total catastrophe and small cluster on the bottom left versus not too bad. What do you reckon? And so this is how you start to use the table to defuse those arguments, to end the bickering. No, my department, my project is the most important thing. I'm all A's and B's. I'm not even going to look at your scale. We'll go A. A? No. Find me where the rock drops into the pond and show me the ripples. And here you are with something that everyone has agreed, everyone's signed off, version 1.0, 2021, management approval. And secondly, my second even weaker example, there you are on Thursday night and the project manager's being really mean to the IT and security team and saying, oh, well, these developers have got to stay and work into the night, and I don't care if it's going to be midnight, we must go live tonight. This is really, really important. The business is depending on this. And you think, well, actually, I know it's No Change Friday tomorrow, but we've got the morning, and if we're really, really good and we do some proper testing, we can get it out by lunchtime and not really break the rules too much. No, it's really important, really important. And you bring out the scale and, oh, you're in violent agreement that it's an E. Nothing's going to happen. Their ego will be bruised. You'll be a couple of hours late. There's no money spent. Nothing's going on. Lunchtime or tonight makes no difference. Let's all go home, get a good night's sleep, come back tomorrow and put the fixes in and do some decent testing. So that was the promise. That was the, how do I build this table? What arguments can it end? Monday afternoon, I'm spending 90 minutes with a customer building their table, using their secret sauce, juggling the rows and columns. Maybe it'll be a bigger table. Maybe they'll have different catastrophes. And at the end of the 90 minutes, they'll be going, we could use that now. We can start to look at confidentiality, integrity, availability, harm to our most critical assets and work out what our most critical assets might be and why. Oh, and on the incident response, we can say these things materialized. We've got a scale for all of our catastrophes, and we're having fewer arguments, and we've launched our risk management program, and isn't it wonderful? That is the harm reference table, and I'll take questions and comments.
What's the most interesting argument you've handed from that?
Say again very slowly.
What's
Ignoring those two arguments, what's the most interesting argument? I've ended with that. Need for a health and safety meets the rest of the business risk management system that considers the health and safety and the staff morale and the unanticipated deaths risks. Even though it's 2 pages, using that as the catalyst to kill one risk project and confirm another. I could have used it when I killed off an SAP web portal, but yeah.
That last example that you gave where there's a press release going out, there's a thing he's launching and they've promoted it and it's going to go live and you say, well, what does it matter if it goes out in the what if they came back at you going, well, I guess this is answer my own question. If they came back and said, well, we'll invest $100,000 in promoting this thing and I've got a breakfast for everyone's going to see it.
Yeah, but that looks a bit more like that then. If they're in the red saying, marketing got a breakfast and a launch and a press campaign and it's all our advertising, then you're far further over to the left than I was over on the right. In that case, absolutely, you move heaven and earth and you help them out because that is a catastrophe. But if they're bluffing, again, and it's over there on the right and nobody cares.
Sounds like you need a lot of strong cultural, organisational buy-in so that the boss
Yep.
doesn't go, no, we have to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you do need the buy-in, and this is why you've had the meetings, and the workshops, and the sign-off, and the no surprises, and this is your scale for the rest of 2021. If they want to complain and whinge, and they weren't included, and they don't like the scoring, and the examples are weak, and Fairgo's been cancelled and renamed, then that's 2022, version 2, commercial in confidence. But yeah, this gives you the power, this gives you the assertiveness to say, look, I think you'll find that the Chief Marketing Officer has agreed to this and this was signed and minuted. The board love it, the exec have signed off on this. What can I do?
Cool. We've also got a question from online. Jody asks, what if you already have a business-wide risk management process that isn't IT specific?
This isn't IT specific. It's kind of Catholic. It's got everybody in there. Everybody gets a line. I've truncated it just for the slide to try and squeeze it in and protect the customers.
I guess the question is, there's an existing risk framework that doesn't sort of match this approach.
Is it a 3x3? Low, medium, high meets low, medium, high, resulting in low, medium, high.
Let's say yes.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you've started. It's great that you've already got management commitment to do risk management. And it's an iterative process, and you have continual improvement year by year. So you could look at the next reasonable change point at colouring it up, flavouring it up with some examples and adopting it. Or you might say, Steve, we've already got one of those. You've saved 90 minutes with 10 people and some Post-its and some donuts. So move on to phase 2 of your presentation and leave us alone. But most organisations, it's low, medium, high, low, medium.
Cool. Any other questions for Steve? Okay, well, that was a great presentation, and I enjoyed it. Personally, I never feel comfortable writing commercial in confidence on any document because I never feel confident, but I feel a little bit more confident after that talk. Let's thank Steve for it.